Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today is Christmas in July, day 18. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. This year for Christmas in July, I am sharing stories about my humble beginnings as a brand new medical coder and personal stories about myself. So I hope you all enjoyed the series and let us begin. Okay, so today's topic is turning lemons into lemonade. And this is also one of my most favorite memories as a medical coder working in my facility here. So here we go. You may remember from a couple of videos back, I mentioned a woman named Tina that I worked with. Now, Tina is not her real name, but I do that for her privacy. And Tina and I ended up working together as partners for a group of clinics, right? The way that the workload is divvied up in my facility is that you have all the clinics, and then you're assigned a certain amount of clinics, and then there's usually 2 to 3 people working those clinics. So Tina and I shared orthopedics, podiatry, the pain clinic, and neurology. So we had all those 4. So how the workload would go was we would split the month. We would work from the 1st to the 15th. One person would do that for all the clinics, and then everything that was new that came in was the responsibility of that coder. And then the second person would code from the 16th through the 30th or the 31st. And so while you were having your on week, you were coding the things that were coming in that day. If you did not have enough time to finish on your off week, the 2 weeks that you had off, you were playing catch up. So that was how the clinics were run for the longest time. Tina and I changed that, and I'll have to get into that on another video. But for the purposes of illustration, I just want to kind of talk about that. So anyway, we were having an issue with the providers, and namely, it was the biggest issue was coming from the ortho side of the house. Everybody else was fine, but namely ortho was having a big deal about evaluation and management. And they were wanting to know why they weren't getting all of these high levels like they thought. And so they said, okay, we need to have a sit down talk about these evaluation and management levels, and you all need to explain this to us again. So we said, okay, fine. They said either you pick the training time to be, because they have training days, right, where they just train. And they go, we have an opening from 12 to 1. Or you have to wait 2 months, and I'm trying not to sneeze. Or you have to wait 2 months, and then we can do our class then. Well, 2 months was too long to wait, and we needed to get in front of these guys right now. So we said, okay, 12 to 1, that'll be perfect. And so they said, are you sure you want 12 to 1? Because if you're like me, you have to eat, right? And they are the same way. But these providers, they don't bring their lunch. They typically get the lunch from the cafeteria, or they will have like a snack, and then they'll hold them over till they get home. Well, they usually have that time from 12 to 1 to go grab something. So now you're making them stay in a particular place, and they have to be there. So naturally, they're not going to want to listen. So already we have an obstacle in front of us. How do we get them to listen? So Tina and I had talked about it, and we said, okay, clearly we need to bring a snack, or we need to bring something to entice them to be like okay with having to sit and listen. And so she says, well, we can't really do donuts because they complain. These guys are very health conscious. They like to stay fit, but they do eat sweets. But this was not going to be enough to grab their attention and to keep them focused. So I said, okay, well, what about, we need to do something. And then she's like, well, when I did like the cheerleading stuff with the girls, we used to make brown bag lunches for everybody. What do you think about something like that? Because that's economical, that we could both pitch in, and it won't cost us very much. And I said, and I like coupons. She goes, and you do like your couponing, Blue. And so I love coupons. And if I can find a deal, I'll find a deal. So I said, okay, well, we can do that. And so we decided on brown bag lunches for everybody. And we said, okay, we can, of course, bring bottled water, because they don't need soda. Sandwiches, we can do some turkey and some ham. And then, of course, they can have their cheese with that as well. And then, of course, chips, because you can't have a sandwich without chips. And then we decided on a piece of fruit. So half had banana and half had like the little oranges, you know. And then we put a little piece of candy in there. And then we put something else in there. I think it was probably like a cookie or something, like a little Oreo cookie. So it was a nice little lunch bag, right? And so Tina had actually got like mayonnaise packets and mustard packets from the deli at the grocery store. So I was like, that's perfect, you know? So we had just enough, and there's about 30 of them that we made, these bags, right? And so I said, this is going to be perfect. They're going to be so surprised because they're not going to be expecting this, number one. And number two, we already know what we're going to say because we had spent the days before, it was about a week prior that we had noticed that we were going to be able to do this. And so we had done the presentation. We had nailed down what we were going to say, and we had talked about it with each other. I had typed it up in the in the PowerPoint. And so that was how we were able to print those off. We printed off copies for everybody. We talked about, you know, how it was going to go, the flow of the presentation. So we had agreed that she was going to do part of it and I was going to do part of it, and we were going to talk back and forth so that way we can engage with everybody. And I'm like, okay, that works, you know. So the day of the class, you know, we had loaded everything up into the cart, right? And we went upstairs to the training room, and they were all grumbling. You could hear them. They go, man, we're missing lunchtime for this. And so, so we come in, of course, we come in with all of these cute little brown paper lunch bags, right? And we said, hey, everybody. And they were like, well, what's all this? You know, and all of a sudden you start seeing these sour faces turn up, kind of like smiling, like, what are they doing? You know? And so I said, we know you were all here and you gave up your lunchtime. And since you're all here right now, we thought we'd bring you guys a brown bag lunch. So we have some turkey and we have some ham. It's a sandwich, and you got all your chips and your fruit and your candy and your cookies in there. And we got you some waters. So by all means, the look of relief on their face, because they were like, wow, this is really nice. So they were getting their lunch, but they go, oh, I want turkey. Oh, I want ham. And so they were they just grabbed, right? And so like all the sandwich bags, you know, there was a couple of them left, but because we had bra extra. And so they were like, wow, this is so nice of you guys. So we gave them time to eat and stuff like that. And as they were doing that, they were trading bags of chips with each other. It was really cute. And then they were like trading like the candy, because I think it was Oreo or like the M&M, the peanut M&Ms. So it was funny because to watch them do that, I go, I'll trade you. And I said, oh, how cute, you know. And so they enjoyed it. They loved that whole setup, and they were like, okay. So after they got done eating, and we were passing out the slideshow presentations and stuff, and they were just, okay. So I said, and everybody's good now, right? And they go, yes. They go, thank you. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Blue. And so I said, okay, good. And I said, all right, here we go. And so we started talking about the presentation, and they go, why didn't you just put it up on the screen up here? And I said, because every time those screens always have some technical issue. I said, we're not going to sit up here and waste time. We're not wasting your guys' time. We're here to do business. Let's get to it. And they go, okay. And so they got out their pen and they started writing notes. So Tina and I were going back and forth and equally sharing the presentation, and we got everybody laughing, and they were really relaxed, and they were asking questions. This was the best thing ever to see, is when they started asking questions, because they were relaxed, they were happy, they were laughing, you know, and they were learning. That was the biggest thing for me, was to see them learning. Not only that, just to see their face when we walked in and they were grumbling, and and here we are with this food spread, and they were like, man, they go, what did y'all put in this sandwich? This sandwich is really good. I said, well, you know, when you care, right, it's all the love that we have, we put in those sandwiches. And they go, oh. And so Tina had actually wrote on some of like she wrote on the napkins, thank you, and something like teamwork and stuff like that. And she had done those like little notes and stuff like that, and she put it in the bags. And so they really liked that touch as well. So I thought it was cute. The whole thing was just awesome. And it was a really good bonding experience for everybody because, after this one, they were like, now we see that you guys are okay. Like, it's not that you're trying to keep things from us. I'm like, no. I said, you literally have one person who has a lot of experience, which was Tina, and then you have me, who I've done everything. So, and I always do my research too. So I said, I'm always going to make sure that, for me on my part, that I am going to make sure that you get the most credit that you can possibly get. So, it was a very successful meeting. They enjoyed it. And they were like, wow, you guys really went above and beyond on this one. And they go, well, you didn't have to go out of your way like this. And there's a little bit of something extra that goes into doing something above and beyond like that. Yes. Did we have to do it? No, obviously we didn't have to. And there's a lot of people that would say, well, you're here to do a job and that's what you do. And, you don't have to do all of that. And there was another coder that found out what we were doing. And she's like, it's not your job to do that. They're there, they're supposed to learn. And I said, here's the thing. Did I ask you to put in anything on this? And she's like, well, no. And I said, okay, then. I said, here's the deal. Yeah, we don't have to do this, but at the same time, when you're trying to get your point across and you're trying to set yourself up for success, sometimes thinking outside the box is what you have to do. This costed us next to nothing because yours truly knows how to use coupons. And she's like, oh, yeah. So I said, with that in mind, if I choose and Tina chooses to do something like this, that's our prerogative. And she's like, and I say, okay, well, whose clinic outperforms who? I'm just saying. So, but anyway, I learned from that experience that the more people are relaxed, the better they learn, and the more that ideas get transferred and things like that, and it's a good learning experience. So that was one of the things that was one of my most favorite days. And then when Tina and I got back to the office, but before that, we of course had the extra sandwich bags left over, and we asked everybody if they wanted another one. And one of the surgeons came over. He's like, I have to stay late tonight because I'm on call. And then Tina says, go ahead. And so she pushed 2 of the sandwich bags and he goes, thank you. And so, but everybody else took off with the rest of the sandwich bags. And there was left over. I think there was maybe like 4 other ones left over. And so when Tina and I got back to the office, we were like, she's like, did you see that? Did you see their faces? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And then she goes, that was so cool. And then I said, yeah, it was. And, and I said, we did a really good job with the presentation because they really asked a lot of questions this time. It wasn't like before where we kind of had to pull it out of them. They were a little bit more talkative this time. She goes, I think we did really good. And I said, I think so too. Tina and I, like I said, it was a mixed bag with her. But we did have good times. She was a good partner some of the time. And, it's just the way that things work out. You try your best to make things work out with your work partners and things like that. And it's going to be on another show that I'm going to go in a little bit more with Tina. But, you always think about the good times. And for me, I try to think about those good times Tina and I had. And it was amazing. That day was hands down one of my most favorite days because of all the laughter and all the learning that went on that day. And by the way, the impact of that meeting, right? So in the following weeks afterward, we noticed a remarkable improvement in their documentation, and it went all the way up the chain that they noticed it too. So they were like, wow, you know, that training meeting really did help. So yeah, it did. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's my story for today. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye.